So, welcome to the Kindness Club for September. I'm glad you guys could come out and join us. I know evenings can get busy and kids have things and we have things and late in the evening, but thank you for coming out. We will get started here with a quick little this or that. We did this last month. I thought it was fun, so I figured, hey, why not? We'll do it again. Um, if I could figure out how to pull my chat up, maybe? No. Telling you, one of these days I'm gonna get it. I say that. There we are. Chat. All right, perfect. Now I'm gonna okay. There. All right, now back to this. This or that. Okay, so this is fall edition. So team apple cider or team pumpkin spice? Where do we fall in the chat here? I have a vote for apple cider. Oh, we're tied. Apple cider. Apple cider. Yeah, I am solidly apple cider. I do not like pumpkin. I don't like anything pumpkin. Um, Probably the odd one out there for the majority of people, but that's okay.
I'm very picky about my pumpkin.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay, next question. Sweater or hoodie? I have a very solid stance on this. I will not negotiate. I'm like Christina, who will go back and forth, apparently. All right, we are all Christina, you're on your own, man. Uh,
Well, it depends on what I'm doing. If I'm at
okay,
work, sweater.
okay.
Anywhere else, hoodie.
Okay, that's fair. For those of us
Because
who
I
work
can't wear.
online, hoodie is business casual, so we're good
Yeah.
to go.
If I'm in
Awesome.
an office, a hoodie is frowned on.
That's fair. That's fair. I used to work in a bank. I get it. All right. Carving pumpkins or painting pumpkins? Again, this is no debate for me, despite the picture that is my daughter with a Darth Vader pumpkin from a very long time ago because she is now 13. Neither. Oh, you're a painting pumpkin person. I did not know that, Kim. Um, it is less gross. Digging elbow deep into ick is not great, but I am solidly a pumpkin carver. That was my artwork on the left here. That was me one year.
I once made a
Art.
pumpkin eat a smaller pumpkin.
I've seen things like that online. I love it. I love it. Yeah, this was a design like I had the outline. I just had to sort of trace. Um, but it looked nice in the end. All right. This is could be a hot take. Candy corn or caramel apples? Caramel apples, apples, apples. Candy corn. So I want two candy corns every year and then I'm over it. But I did used to buy bags of them because my Pomeranian thought they were the greatest thing on the planet. And he was 16, so I gave him whatever he wanted. And candy corn was his preference. So, all right. Basketball or football? I'm repping both my teams here. No comments on how terrible Virginia Tech is doing at football right now. That's why they're on the basketball side. Soccer. Yeah, yeah, I know, I know. Football. Baseball. Yes. Okay. Honestly,
Base.
I am more of a baseball and football. Both nachos at football, popcorn at baseball. Okay.
Soccer
Or
and
basketball.
hockey.
Yeah. Hockey. I love hockey. So good. I consider that more winter though than like fall, but
Soccer is definitely top choice for me.
of course. Okay, that was cool. I always like just sort of getting to know something about everybody. All right. We just finished up the Kindness in Motion 5K, and I could not be happier with how all of this went down. This is the first time doing it. I had never tried to put anything like that before, so the fact that it came together at all was thrilling to me. We had exactly 50 people sign up to do the 5K. We had one person sign up on the last day, but they got in there, so good job. The 50 people came from 6 different countries. We had, let me think, Indonesia, India. We had one from Nepal, which I found really interesting. Also in the United States, 20 different states were represented. I believe it was Tennessee or Kentucky that had the most people register in terms of the states. And we had ages from 10 to 74. So Kim's son came in as the youngest. My dad came in as the oldest. So we ran the gamut there across everything. It was fantastic. I appreciated people who sent pictures in. So these are the pictures that I have of everybody doing it. So thank you for that. Rocking the shirts, which was awesome. So again, super pleased that we had so many people participate. Some people posted that they did the 5K, but they didn't take any pictures, which is totally fine. But just really great to see everybody get involved. And also awesome is the fact that we got our fundraising goal. We ended up with $535. So our goal was 500. So we knocked it out the park. We met that goal, and I am super excited about it. I kept watching, and I would get a text message every time somebody made a donation, and I kept watching the last day of it. I kept watching, and then we hit it. So excited. So good job. Thank you to everybody who donated, who signed up and did the 5K. It was great. We will definitely do it again next year. Fisher House was fantastic, coming and talk to us and everything. So I imagine we're going to do that for them again next year. But like I said, very, very pleased with that. Thank you all for your participation, for getting it out there, posting it on Facebook, and getting other people to join. Amazing work. All right. Now that the 5K is done, we are going to move on to our other initiative this month, which is Letters of Love. So September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. And we had the idea of sending cards to kids with cancer and other serious illnesses. There's some guidelines for what to do, what you can say, what you shouldn't say, and just really keep in mind that you're writing to kids, so make it kid friendly. Don't write a whole big giant page long letter. Just make it short, sweet, to the point, tell a joke. I will put the link over at the end of the video when I have access to all of that again. But the address is right there. So they're in Minnesota. What you would do is any cards that you make, again, please make them handmade, handwritten, not something that you buy out at the store. You'll take whatever it is that you do make, put it all in one envelope and send it to this address, and they will send them out to the different hospitals and everything to be distributed. So these are some that I did last week when I probably should have been doing any number of other things, but that's okay. We all need breaks. So I have the little "You Are Dynamite." I bought some stickers, the cute little frog. I like coloring, so I put those together. Anything that you want to do, like I said, just something colorful, bring a smile to a little kid's face. We would really appreciate it. If you do make some cards, please send pictures. I know I ask you guys to post on socials all the time about the things that you're doing, and it's not, I feel bad asking you to do that. I guess it's not to brag. The goal is never to be like, oh, hey, look at what I did. It's to inspire other people to be kind as well. So we are the Kindness Club. We like hearing what you guys are doing. It does inspire other people. I get messages from people at the university who are not part of the club, but see the things we're doing. And so that's why I ask you guys to share with us. The pictures and everything really helps drive home what it is that we're doing and how much kindness we're spreading to the university, outside of the university. So I appreciate pictures whenever you guys get into something. Other things coming up, and I do have this link ready, so I will put that in there. It's another 5K. This one is for homecoming, the university homecoming, and it runs the first bit of October. It's still through Run Sign Up. So if you did make an account for our 5K, it's the same website. You just select the different race, register. This one is free. They're asking for donations for Wreaths Across America, but that's optional, as with all donations. So you can sign up, you can donate, one or the other. All of the information is there on that website that I just provided, where you sign up. So I think they had, when I talked to them, I want to say they had about 100 maybe last year. So if 5Ks are something that you like doing, get out there and support this one too. Walking's good for us. So, and the weather in October is usually pretty nice. They are having other homecoming events. I believe on the 15th, they're doing virtual game night. This again is in October. So October 15th, they're doing virtual game night, but they haven't sent out any specific information about that yet. October 17th is Spirit Day. And I was actually talking to Frances earlier, and she says we should rep our AMU and APU gear. So let's plan to do that for October 17th. If you've got a shirt, a hoodie, I have a tumbler, whatever it is, rock out your APUS gear, send me pictures, and I'll send it off to the homecoming team, just to show them that we're getting involved, in their events and repping our schools. There we go. And with all of that, I'm going to turn it over to Kristina. She is the Women's Health Liaison at the New River Community Services. I actually know her personally. Our daughters played on the same soccer team a couple years ago. So I am fortunate to call her one of my friends. She also just got her master's degree. So good job. Way to finish that up. So I am going to turn it over to her. She's going to talk to us about self-care and staying grounded with all the different things we all have going on. So Kristina, it is all you as soon as I stop sharing my screen.
All right.
All right, you should be good to go.
Okay. Perfect. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a link in the chat. If you could open it up and just listen for the first little bit, and kind of look at it and take a bit of a self-care assessment just to kind of gauge where your strengths are as far as self-care needs. While I get the PowerPoint pulled up. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out. There we go. I found it. Kelly, can you open the sharing part? It's
Oh,
not
I
letting
thought it
me
was
screen share.
already. Yeah, hold on a second. Oh. All right. Try it now. Sorry about that.
There we go. We got it. Hold on. I'm gonna have to.
Is it not working for you? All right, she's back.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry, it kicked me out so I could share.
No, not a problem. Sorry about that.
Nope, it's
All
good.
right.
All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and start. You guys can continue listening and reading while I in fact looking at your assessment while I go through things. So, like Kelly said, I'm a qualified mental health professional in Virginia. My uh, my focus today is on self-care and grounding techniques. Um, I am also a soccer coach. I coach two teams. I'm a single mother, and I just finished my master's in clinical mental health counseling after eight years between my bachelor's and my master's. And I work in community mental health, which is just basically mostly working with individuals with Medicaid and Medicare or that don't have any insurance. So I go out into the community a lot and work with them. So the big thing about stress and self-care is everybody needs to take care of themselves. Everybody gets stressed out. So if you could just let me know how many of you are caregivers to children, adults, family members, just raise your hand for a second. Yep, I know Kelly is. I see a couple others. Uh, do you guys ever find yourself at where you're at your limit and struggling to continue with taking care of those daily tasks like parenting, walking dogs, taking care of pets, just doing the daily grind? I see a couple of you. Good. So, what are some things you guys typically do to reduce the stress in your life?
I like to go camping.
Oh, I like camping.
I actually play Minecraft. It's my mind numbing sort of activity.
Yeah, but my 10-year-old loves Minecraft. That's his is Minecraft. Let's do one more. All right. So, do you guys find that your current stress reduction techniques are beneficial for you, or do you find that after a while they kind of stop working?
Feel like I have to vary it. Minecraft will only get me so far, and then I'll
Hmm.
have to do something else.
Yeah.
Um, I've got a cycle of things I usually go through.
Yeah, that's what I do. I find it's very common that after a while, one stress reduction technique doesn't always work. And so you have to kind of mix things up a little bit. Um, so the point of today is to work through learning a little bit more about self-care because there a lot of people don't really seem to not really fully grasp what self-care is. A lot of the clients I work with think it's just taking care of hygiene, like activities of daily living, which it is, but there's more to it. So we're going to go through that, and at the end, if we have time, I want to go through a grounding technique that is personally one of my favorites to go through because you can do it anywhere. Um, all right, so this is just a screenshot of the self-care assessment I sent you guys. It goes through the main sections of self-care, physical self-care, psychological and emotional self-care, social self-care, spiritual self-care, and professional self-care. So each of these sections has different ways to incorporate self-care. So some of them, and I'm going to hop back to the first one. Physical self-care would be things like taking care of your personal hygiene, eating healthy foods, exercising, getting enough sleep, kind of the medical, physical body types of self-care. Um, Psychological would include taking time off of work, um, getting involved in hobbies, putting your phone or other electronics away, going on vacations or day trips, um, doing something comforting like rewatching a favorite movie or TV show. Um, it's the fall, and my favorite TV show is Gilmore Girls. It's one of my comfort shows. So I'm about ready to start watching that until I go through it again. Social self-care would be spending time with people that you like, writing friends and family, or calling them on the phone, doing enjoyable activities with others, etc. Spiritual self-care would be things like spending time in nature, meditation, prayer, anything that just kind of helps tap into that spiritual side of you, no matter what you believe. Professional self-care would be things like saying no to excessive responsibilities, taking breaks during work, maintaining that um, work-life balance is a big one, and even things like improving your professional skills. So for me, one of my big things for self-care was improving my ability to help others by getting my master's degree, um, and just taking time to build relationships with your colleagues because you do work with them day in and day out. So this next slide is what self-care is, and I got this from a friend of mine who I also went through my master's degree with. Um, and she created some fantastic slides. And so I adapted mine from hers. So self care is connected to our own well being, needs, and values, creating consistent habits that support your emotional, mental, physical well-being, such as prayer, meditation, grounding techniques, mindfulness, etc. Things we just talked about. It's different for everybody else. My self-care is going to look completely different from Kelly's. And I know that because we've talked about it before. My favorite form of self-care is coaching soccer, which I get a lot of people looking at me like I have two heads from it, but I absolutely love coaching soccer after a long day of work, going out on the field, not only teaching my kids, I call them my kids, all of them, teaching them how to play the sport, but also teaching them how to be better human beings, how to develop resilience and emotional empathy and just cheering on others. And it really self-care is whatever brings you specifically joy and what fills your soul. Uh, and that's how I explain it to anybody that I work with. Self-care is what fills your soul, fills your cup up so that way you can continue doing the hard things in life. And it's going to look different for everybody. What self-care is not. If you feel guilty engaging in a self-care activity, it may not be self-care. Um, if you consider it another task or obligation, just like another piece of work or another check on the checklist to cross off, it may not be self-care at that time. And self-care is not anything flashy or that supports an immediate cure or fix. Um, Not always. It can be, but generally it's not. It takes a long time for it to really start for you to really kind of get into it. I know the world of social media, there's a lot of influencers out there that are pushing these rapid like self-care face masks and everything, and they don't always work, not just physically, but there can be a huge financial drain. And that can create more stress, which then doesn't help the self-care. So some of the ways to incorporate self-care into daily life would be brainstorming what you may find to be self-care for you. So what would it look like for me to incorporate self-care into my life? How can I incorporate it into my daily life? And some of the questions that I ask are, how long can I devote to self-care each day? Are there days where I can devote more time for self-care than others? So for me, the days I coach right now, Mondays and Wednesdays and Saturdays or Sundays, are the days where I can devote more time to that particular self-care. But I also sprinkle self-care throughout the day as well. So those are just some things that I incorporate into my daily life and that are very beneficial to kind of figure out what might help you for self-care, to create your self-care toolbox. These are some tips for creating self-care. So do things you enjoy. It doesn't have to be complicated. Taking care of your health, giving yourself permission to relax, setting specific goals for self-care. Instead saying their example is I like to walk for 30 minutes every evening after dinner. I like to rock out to music in my car. In on my way from visit to client visit to client visit. Um, I like to, of course, coach soccer, but I also like to play games with my kids. Um, Making it a habit. At first, you may have to kind of schedule it into your day until you get through that habit, until it becomes consistent. But once it's consistent, you'll find you don't always have to incorporate that self-care scheduled. It just kind of happens. And then limit unhealthy forms of self-care. There are things for self-care that are unhealthy. Things like doom scrolling, and turning off your brain to just munching on some chips while you're watching TV. They're okay in moderation, but I know for me, over time, I find that those end up not being helpful for me. They're I'm actually more productive and a lot less stressed when I don't engage in those types of self-care activities. Um, so just some things to think about. So this is the grounding technique. So we have time, so we'll go through this real quick. So this is called the 5 4 3 2 1. And it just involves engaging in all 5 of your senses. 5 things you can see, 4 things you can feel, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing that you can taste. Um, so an example of this would be 5 things I see. I see this little zebra that I got at a zoo a long time ago. I see my Coke. I see my headphone case, and I see my phone, and I see my dogs. 4 things I can feel. I can feel the desk that my computer's on. I can feel the carpet under my feet, and I can feel the fact that there's a tag on my shirt that's driving me insane. And I can feel the hard surface of the chair I'm sitting in. 3 things I can hear. I can hear my breath. I can hear my dog whining, and I can hear the fan in my living room running. 2 things I can smell. I can smell the lemonade sitting by me from my lunch, and I can smell the remnants of a pudding cup from lunch. Um, 1 thing I can taste is I can taste the cream puffs I had for dessert, at dinner, and that's a grounding technique that you can literally do anywhere. You can do it in your home, you can say it out loud, you can say it to yourself. It's just something that activates those senses, that will help when you start finding yourself getting super stressed out or going into having an anxiety attack or anything, just to kind of pull you out of that. And then, so this, I would like now for the last little bit, I want to engage in some discussion about where the self care, how you guys felt on the self care assessment, which sections you found were your strong suit, which ones were areas that you needed to work on, and so just kind of engage in some discussion on that. And so we can go ahead. I'm going to stop sharing, and we can go ahead and engage in that discussion.
All right, I'll jump in here with some thoughts. I went through and I found myself marking a lot of ones and threes. I never really went for the two. I feel like
Hmm.
I either do something pretty well or just nope. Um, but I did find it interesting, in particular, the psychological and emotional self care section. So today I just had the last um, workshop of emotional intelligence that was offered from the dean here at the school. And so it was all about emotions and how we feel them and how emotions are not bad. You know, they can be negative, but that doesn't make them bad. It's all in how we address that. And so I feel like I had a lot of threes in this section, and I'm not sure if I would have before this 6 week seminar that I just finished. But I do feel like that helped me get to a lot more threes in that particular category on the assessment.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like you, a lot of people don't realize that emotions inherently themselves are not bad. All emotions have a purpose. It's how we react to those emotions that create the problem. That is very interesting. All right, who else would like to go?
I'll throw out my negative points if nobody else is going to jump in here. So interestingly, it looks like the worst category that I had was the physical self care. Um, I do not eat healthy food as often as I would like. Um, and I can make excuses for that, like I just don't have time, which is partially true and partially not. I do not exercise as much as I should, which is why I enjoyed our 5K. It got me motivated to get out and do something. Um, the preventative medical appointments, I will go if I need to. I wouldn't necessarily call them preventative. It's like, "Oh, I don't feel good. I'm gonna go to the doctor," rather than
Yeah.
just making sure that everything's okay. Um, rest when sick or get enough sleep. I love sleep. So those are threes. But I had a lot more ones and twos in that in the physical self-care.
Yeah, that can be common. Um, let's see here. So for me, physical self-care is probably my one of my more weak points, mostly because of lack of sleep and resting when I'm sick. I also have multiple chronic medical issues that also come into play with that. Um, and then my psychological and emotional self-care is probably my highest one. Um, and it kind of helps in the field that I'm in to have a really strong self-care routine for myself emotionally because I deal with lots of hard things all the time within my work. Spiritual self-care and is also a higher one for me. Same with professional self-care. My supervisors at work like to joke that I'm the one that if there's a training that I can attend, I will attend it. I love trainings, so much so that I also instruct CPR and first aid. Um, Social self-care is another one that's a little bit weaker for me, but that's mostly just because I don't have a lot of time to engage with friends. That was probably the one I'm working on the most right now is increasing my social self-care.
That one's a tough one just because we all have such different schedules,
Oh, yeah.
between everybody's work and then school stuff and kid stuff, and it gets to be real hard to meet in person. To do it online is a
Mhm.
lot easier, but to have that one-on-one, like we had breakfast the other day, which was great. So to be able to do that in person is really, in my opinion, more helpful than just doing it online.
And it's okay to have 1 or 2 areas of self-care that have to kind of get put on the back burner too. Not all of them have to be strong suits. It's okay for them to fluctuate. It's okay to say, "I just had surgery," or "I'm sick and I don't feel like I can't focus on the physical self-care for a while," or "My work schedule won't allow me to focus on the physical self-care for a while, but I'm gonna focus on some of these other areas a little bit more while until I kinda get back into being able to do that." Yeah, music can absolutely be a great a great part of self-care. One of my favorites is turning up the oldies station, which isn't oldies that I don't think it it shouldn't be to me because it's the music I grew up listening to, like the 80s, 90s, 70s. I guess that's now considered oldies, but, just rocking out to that. Love a good Queen song.
Oh yeah. I have different playlists depending on what kind of self-care I need. I have everything from smooth jazz music to, I call it my angry playlist, where I will get into the car and crank it and scream along with whatever song happens to come on. Um, so music can calm us, and I feel like music with the angry playlist that I have is helpful because I get it out, and then I can sort of process, a little more rationally.
Yeah, and it's hard putting yourself through school while also working full-time jobs and having families, to figure out where you can engage more in self-care. I know for me, sleep was definitely one of the things that I didn't do nearly enough the past 8 years while I was putting myself through school and working full-time, but that's mostly because I was also trying to figure out life as a single parent as well. Um, Angry playlists are fun, especially when you just need to work out or go for a walk because you're mad, you just crank up the angry playlist. Silliness soundtracks are the best. Sometimes I just like to embarrass my kids by putting on a silly song.
Awesome. I was liking the conversation out in the chat.
Yeah.
That was good. So I
Yeah.
know sometimes it's hard to get off of mute. We've got things going on
Oh
in the
yeah.
background and
Oh
whatever.
yeah.
So, but I'm glad people shared over there. Do you
Yeah.
have anything else you wanted to go over?
Um, Not really. I'd love to just engage in more discussion about what you guys do when you guys are stressed out. I'm always looking for new ways to help me relieve stress. And I'm sure everybody else would enjoy hearing it too.
One of the things we talked about in the emotional intelligence seminar was that a process of dealing with an emotion might seem helpful, but might not be in the long run. And somebody brought up venting, which I honestly do a lot. Um, but to me, I think there's a difference. I'm not going to vent to people who I'm not really close with. I feel like at that point I'm becoming a burden onto them. But if it's, somebody that knows what I'm going through or has been my friend for, 20 years, then I feel like it's probably still venting, but it kind of goes with that longer, closer relationship. As long as it's not the only thing that you do when you talk,
Yeah.
then I feel like it's okay.
Yeah. We seem to have many vent sessions.
Never. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. It's to go along with that. There's a technique that goes into more of like the therapy realm, um, that focuses on just kind of letting those emotions kind of roll off of you when you're starting to find yourself getting panicky or stressed or really angry. Um, and that's something I've kind of been teaching my youngest who has autism. And at times he really struggles with his emotional regulation. And being able to teach him to kind of let some of those initial emotions just roll off of him before he gets to the point where he completely and totally loses control is has been fantastic. Um, I don't even know when the last time he had a major meltdown where I had to restrain him was going to be. Was Which is huge progress because when we first moved to Virginia, it was daily. Sometimes multiple times a day, I was having to restrain him because his emotional regulation was so bad. Yes, I love meditation. Meditation can differ from person to person. Um, Sometimes I just keep repeat the same phrase uh, in my head as many times as I need to until I calm down. Um, because sometimes that's what I just have to do to be able to get through a really difficult client visit or a really difficult conversation with my kid's dad or whatever. It does help a lot. Yeah, both my kids are autistic with ADHD, which makes life fun. Also, being ADHD myself, um, we have a big emphasis on teaching emotional regulation in our house, even to the point where my kids will call me out when I'm not doing it. Um, yeah, Daniel, if you just feel like you can get my email from Kelly if you need some tips. I'd be more than happy to share some with you on helping him with his on helping your kiddo.
Yeah, I can definitely pass that along after the
Yeah.
meeting. Um, but I am going to go ahead and we have a little bit more business to wrap up. So I'm going to go ahead and pop back over here real quick and share this. Maybe there we go. It's down here. Ta-da. No, wait, this. Okay, I think there we are. Okay, so we have one more thing to finish up here. It's tree time. I don't think I told you this, Christina. We give a tree away every other month after our meetings. We have a tree planted in honor of whoever's name happens to come up on this website here.
Oh, that's
Um,
fun.
so I am going to type everyone's names in here, and we have Miley and Christina and Angela and Stephanie and Daniel and Janet. And somebody was showing up as just Google Pixel. Can the Google Pixel person here help me out? What is your name? I'm not sure. Whoever's walking around the kitchen, what is your name? I don't know. It's not giving us your name. It just says Google Pixel. All right, I tried. We'll go on without that one. That's okay. All right, so I believe that is everyone. I'm going to spin, see who we get. Oh, at the last second, it flips over to Angela. Okay, well, that works. Angela, I will send you an email after the meeting is over. And we'll get all of the information that we need for getting your tree taken care of. So awesome. Here is all of our contact information. I put this on all of our newsletters, all of our, well, in all of the meetings as well. Before I let you go, though, I did want to share this is the link I had mentioned earlier for the letters of love. It's got the guidelines there for what does and doesn't work when you're making the cards for kids. So take a look at that. I would love for you guys to send cards out, help brighten some people's days. Again, all of our contact information on here. You can find us everywhere I could possibly think to put us. Um, Email, you can also reach out to Dr. Rush or myself at our university emails. So she is kimberly.rush@mycampus.apus.edu. I am kelly.jernigan at mycampus.apus.edu. So that is another option if you need to get hold of us. And I believe that is all we have for this month. So I really appreciate you guys all coming out and participating in the chat, talking in person if you could. So thank you so much. Per usual, I'm going to put this on YouTube probably before the night is over. So if you want to go back and look at any of the information that we went over, it'll be there for you. I will also send out Christina's email if anybody wants that, and she can help you out with some more tips or information. And I think that's all I got. So thanks again, guys, and we'll see you next time.